I'm happiest in the saddle.
A fellow sportsman.
I am an FBI agent!
Great Scott!
What do you say we cut the chit-chat? A-hole!
Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria!
Come with me if you want to live.
Hello and welcome to Retro Ramble. I'm Charlie McGee.
I'm George McGee.
And this time it's time for a special. We're going to be reviewing two films from the 1990s. This is Mission Impossible 1 and Mission Impossible 2. Isn't that right, George?
That's correct.
And the reason we're doing this is in line with the upcoming Mission Impossible Fallout. We decided to go back. We couldn't decide whether to do the first Mission Impossible film, the second one, and we thought, what the hell, let's just do both of them in one episode.
Yeah, they both films mean a lot to us. We have sort of a certain fondness, and nostalgia for these films. And I think these two films are quite unique compared to the other films in the franchise that have, from sort of Mission Impossible 3 onwards, they've kind of followed a certain formula. But we thought, the first two kind of stand out, and there's a lot to sort of compare, contrast, poke fun at, and enjoy.
Absolutely. And even though we're covering two films and we're covering them with the usual format where we talk about the production, we talk about what we like about them, our first memories, we have still managed to keep this entire episode down to under 90 minutes. So if you want to skip ahead to Mission Impossible 2, that's coming. The one thing we would point out is that at the beginning of Mission Impossible 2, I think it's mainly when we're talking about the production chat, there are some slight technical difficulties because one of our amazing chimps who's involved with controlling microphones hadn't plugged something in. It's about 11 minutes of audio, sounds a bit echoey, but apart from that, it's the usual high level of production you'd expect from us. Would you say, George?
We'll obviously clear it up as best we can, but just to bear with us for those first few minutes.
Obviously, we're not film journalists. We do the usual housekeeping, George.
In terms of mission briefing, should you choose to accept it, so we are film lovers. We're not experts, but hopefully we'll teach you a few things you didn't know about these films. Hopefully you'll be entertained by them.
Inspired to go back and watch them again.
Yeah, that's one of the main things that we're doing. We want people to share that enjoyment of these films, going back and rediscovering these films of our youth. But yeah, we will be delving into spoilers from the very off. There will be a host of bad impressions throughout, so you'll be probably bored of our Dougray Scott impersonations. Probably a bit confused by
our... We're going to have to cut some of that out and just put Dougray in because,
nobody does Dougray like Dougray.
Exactly.
We've got some Tony Hopkins in there. There might be a little bit of swearing as well, so apologies in advance. But yeah, we hope you enjoy the show.
But thank you for all your comments. Please keep sending them in, keep sharing. But I think we're about ready. We've got the cassettes. They're about to explode.
I'm recording on a set of Oakleys.
Yep, and here it comes. Mission Impossibles 1
and 2.
Enjoy.
Simple game. Is he serious?
Always.
It's much worse than you think.
We're being ambushed. Abort, that's an order. They knew we were coming. Do you read me?
I don't care how he did it. I want to know why he did it. You're worried about me. Why you survived.
I'm sure we can find something I have that you need.
No one said me.
These guys are trained to be ghosts. Let's not waste time chasing after him. Just make him come to us. Find something that's personally important to him and you squeeze. This tape will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
So, George, Mission Impossible, Brian De Palma, Tom Cruise,
1996.
how did we get this wonderful film?
So it is. It's one of the few franchises that Paramount owns. So Paramount Pictures own the rights to the TV show, and so the TV show I think started in the 60s. And they were looking to make a film version for years, and they couldn't come up with a suitable treatment. They actually started doing a film adaptation in the mid-80s, around 1986, long before The Cruiser was involved. But due to a writer's strike in 1988, it actually turned into a bit of a TV special movie. So a feature-length episode got the old band back together. So Peter Graves, Martin Landau, and the like, all back for one last mission. Tom Cruise had been a fan of the show since he was young and thought it'd be a great idea for a film. And obviously, around the mid-90s, Cruise was one of the highest paid actors in Hollywood, but he was looking to move into production and start up his own production company. And so he chose Mission Impossible as the first project with his production partner, Paula Wagner. With his name being attached, Paramount were convinced to put up a decent amount of budget, so $18 million for this film.
That's not really that much.
In today's money, it's not. It's not.
No, but I mean, he has gone on to turn this into a very lucrative franchise.
A cash cow, some may say.
Yeah, and I think we're not the only people who are excited about A, Tom Cruise, and B, the franchise itself. But it's been successful for a reason. He's constantly been trying to reinvent the formula. And these two films kind of display that, aren't they? Because they're quite standalone.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a very interesting franchise because, if anything, I think you could argue that they've got better and better. As time's gone on,
they've evolved and got better, and understood more about what they should be.
And I know Tom Cruise can be a bit Marmite. You know, some people love him, some people hate him, but you can't deny the man is one of the hardest working men in Hollywood. He is a consummate professional, and he is dedicated to his craft of pushing what can be possible.
He's taken cinema to new levels, stunts. He's given us things that he's given us what people want to see.
Like Retro Ramble, he aims to entertain.
Yeah, and sometimes he occasionally misses. And maybe he shouldn't have sacked his agent. When was it? Just before War of the Worlds?
The couch jumping.
Well, it was the fact that things happened. You know, he changed his agent, and suddenly we had more insider knowledge on his private life, and suddenly people are judging him on that. And I think it's unfair. I look at the professional for what he gives. And
judge him by his work, not by his personal life. That's my thoughts on it. But yeah, I think he's a brilliant. You know, he's a good actor. He's a dedicated. You know, I say he puts in the effort.
Full disclaimer here: we don't care how nuts you think he is. We love him.
Yeah.
We love him for his films.
Yeah, he's an entertainer and he does well.
Yeah.
So the film went into pre-production without a script.
That's how things were done back in the 90s, George.
Well, still done. I can't get my head around how films like, we started without a script, and then we had a script, and then we realised we needed to do reshoots. It's like,
so what did they do? They shot scenes of the film and then said, write a script around that.
Well, they essentially worked out key action sequences. So Cruise brought on board Brian De Palma. Brian De Palma is...
you may remember him from such films as...
Well, I
only can think of Untouchables.
Brian De Palma is he was part of the same group of directors, so known as the Movie Brats. So he was in the same sort of
Spielberg,
Lucas, Coppola, Scorsese. So they were all friends. They were all in film school together. So De Palma had quite a varied career in terms of he made Carrie. The horror film. He did The Untouchables. He did Blowout. He did Snake Eyes with Nick Cage.
I love that
after this.
Such a weird film.
So yeah, he's done quite a lot of different films. He's quite stylized. A lot of his camera work and stuff like that is very recognizable. He has, certain stuff.
Loves the soundtracks. There's like music. I feel like there's more music in his films than most.
There's a lot of focus on music. There's a lot of He has a lot of stuff in terms of point of view. So, you talk about your love for Snake Eyes. Snake Eyes has a brilliant opening where is it an unbroken shot where it follows Nick Cage for about 10 minutes.
Absolutely. Something we've all wanted to do.
It's one take. You're following Nick Cage around and
what on earth is he doing?
Capturing the craziness. He's not afraid to admit that he borrows a lot from famous directors from the past. So he's a big Hitchcock fan, and Mission Impossible 1 is very much seen as a sort of a big homage to Hitchcock. So in terms of who they brought on board to write the script, they had David Koepp, who we talked about in the Jurassic Park episode. So he was the writer of Jurassic Park. And also Robert Towne. So Robert Towne was a key scriptwriter in the 1970s. He wrote Chinatown. That was probably his biggest film. But yeah, he did some rewrites on this, and we'll also talk about him in Mission Impossible 2. But yeah, they essentially, De Palma and Cruise came up with key action sequences, and Koepp and Towne had to write the script around it. So initially there was going to be more of a love triangle between Jim Phelps, his wife Claire, and Tom Cruise, Ethan Hunt, but apparently they cut that down in the test screenings because, in De Palma's words, it took people out of the genre.
But they left it in the trailer just to completely screw with our heads.
Yes, it's one of those famous examples of seeing deleted scenes in a trailer and then go, hang on, that wasn't that romance.
Like Rogue One. There was a few scenes in that trailer that we saw over and over again, and they never turned up in the film.
So in terms of one of the early scripts, apparently featured the original TV cast. So I say Peter Graves, who played the head of the IMF.
But you may also remember Peter Graves from such films as Airplane.
Sure. You ever been in a cockpit before?
No, sir, I've never been up in a plane before.
You ever seen a grown man naked?
Peter Graves played the head of the IMF team, the Impossible Missions Force, Jim Phelps. And you also had Martin Landau playing, I think his name was Roland Hand in the show. But the original script had the original team killed off in the first act, making way for Tom Cruise and his new team. But unsurprisingly, all the original actors weren't up for having their legendary characters killed off so unceremoniously.
For the sake of making storytelling.
Storytime, yeah. So that's the sort of the top line stuff. Shall we
just get into it?
Yeah, let's get into it.
I'm accepting this mission.
Light the fuse.
It's going to self-destruct. Let's do it.
The opening of Mission Impossible 1. So I think, did we see this as En Famille?
I think this was En Famille. Yeah, I think we definitely. This was one of those films. I think it was definitely me, you, and Dad. I think we definitely.
If not, the ladies as well.
Yeah, if they weren't out enjoying themselves. But yeah, this was an event film. We're expecting a lot from it, and it delivered. And it
was a big summer. It was this, and this is all same summer as Independence Day.
I remember I was doing work experience.
Wow.
Yeah. It's becoming a big boy.
So, I remember going to see this, big summer event, family movie. I vaguely remember us coming in quite late because the film starts quite abruptly and thinking, oh, we missed it. But
what that first, because we did miss the credit, but it does open. It
opens sudden. There's
halfway through a mission.
Yeah, and the thing I love about this one in particular is that Mission Impossible is obviously famous for its disguises,
face swapping,
the face swapping, the masks. But in this one, no matter what mask he's wearing,
it's Tom Cruise.
You can still tell it's Tom Cruise under that makeup. But the other thing I couldn't get around is he looks so young. I mean, Tom Cruise is one of those people that is
forever young.
He is aged phenomenally well, but he still looks so young. I mean, obviously this is, it's almost 25 years old, but he's so fresh-faced.
Yeah.
The thing, I've just looked at my notes and it just says, ooh, the things I'd like to do to Emmanuelle Bear.
Oh my gosh, she's so beautiful.
So yes, she is a beautiful French actress, has amazing lips.
And they really didn't tell her to tone down the accent. She didn't take any...
If anything, play it up.
They were like, we need you to sound as sexy French femme fatale as possible.
Ethan. The money.
So I'd love to see the backstory between how Jon Voight's character met Claire. Was it a mission? Was she being trafficked? Did he save her and then married her for a green card? Is that why she looks to Ethan?
Who knows? I mean, he's practically twice her age, but maybe he's just a diamond in the sack.
It is Jon Voight.
The thing I really love in this, and it definitely doesn't happen in the second one, but I love the TV style credits. So it shows you what you're basically going to see in that episode. It shows it's a really nice sort of
cut together
compilation, of the mission. And I'm pretty sure, I think they do it in episodes. Maybe
I think it's three. Ghost Protocol. I think they do that.
Yeah, but I don't know if they do it in the other ones because there is that.
I know Ghost Protocol, they do that cool thing where he says, as they're breaking out of prison, light the fuse.
Yes.
So, it's a clever little sort of nod. Maybe it's the third one that they do that.
Maybe.
Look it up.
Look it up. I also made the point where we see Jim Phelps on his plane in his
highly futuristic plane being offered cassettes.
And
I haven't even got CD-ROMs.
Who in their right mind would think to ask, would you consider the cinema of the Ukraine?
I think it's code.
Sounds like code to me. Also dating this film quite horribly, Jim Phelps, it's perfectly acceptable to smoke on a plane to cover his self-destructing tape.
It's the only time I would consider smoking is when I'm burning cassettes on a plane.
The handiness of having that mission briefing, also the one by Kittredge on the tape, where it introduces Jim's wife, Claire.
Also, running point will be Ethan Hunt. Running comms, Claire, your wife, just to remind him who his wife is. I love that. It's a nice touch.
But we also get further exposition. So we cut to Prague and we get to meet the whole team. We get to know the gadgets. We get to know that there's
banter.
There's videos in the glasses. They've got earpieces, exploding gum. That might come in useful.
Yeah, it might be a plot device.
At least once or twice.
Look, if James Bond can reverse engineer, then so can we.
But one of the things I love about this film, and it was something that was put in place by De Palma, was he insisted on shooting in Prague. And because at that time, Prague was not hadn't been really seen in many films. And ironically, Prague would go on to, in the sort of late 90s, early noughties, it became quite a cheap location.
Destination,
for people to film in terms of the architecture and stuff like that. You've been to Prague as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been to the Charles Bridge. I've drunk the beer. I've forgotten how to get home because the beer is cheap. But no, it's a beautiful city.
Oh, it's an amazing city. And I actually remember when I went there with one of my good mates from uni, and I basically dragged him round, basically took him on a step-by-step tour of the locations of Mission Impossible. It's like, here's where the car blows up, and this is when Tom Cruise is running along the bridge. So apologies to Ant, many years later.
George,
sorry for dragging you around.
Could we please go somewhere that wasn't in the first Mission Impossible film?
I think you just kept asking, can we go for a drink yet? I
just need you to jump off this bridge, and then I'm going to blow up this aquarium, and then we can go for dinner.
Exactly. So we get to meet the team that are shortly going to be killed off. So Emilio Estevez, he's in it.
He's in this film.
Kristen Scott Thomas,
she's in it.
The other girl, she's in it.
Yeah, she's not in very long.
And we also get some great foreshadowing of Jim Phelps staying in the Drake Hotel, Chicago. And I also thought, when being taken through there, basically the mission is to stop the knock list, the list of all the secret agents' real names falling into the wrong hands. And I thought, isn't this the plot of Skyfall that they pretty much forget about halfway through?
Yeah.
I think
this goes back to the 70s. They must have been, when the spies there's the identities, and I think the biggest risk is those identities being revealed. It's also in Atomic Blonde. It's a big part of the plot in that.
I still have not seen that. I need to watch that film.
There's an amazing scene that you need to see.
So we have.
It's not an action scene.
So we cut to.
It's a scene involving two women.
To look up the key plot points on IMDb for Atomic Blonde. Yeah, they're quite amusing.
You will not be disappointed. Getting back to Mission Impossible.
So we're on the mission,
right?
We're at the embassy, the ambassador's ball.
Yeah. Not a Ferrero Rocher in sight.
Tom Cruise is impersonating a man that looks and sounds
like an older version of Tom Cruise.
Yeah. But in true De Palma's signature, this whole sequence, of the ambassador's ball is from Tom Cruise's point of view. So we don't actually see Tom Cruise as the Texas or Southern ambassador type fella until they are doing the whole hacking, ID scanning type thing. I've got my notes here. There's the really sort of sleight of hand moment where Kristen Scott Thomas goes to spray her perfume, but it's actually a tracking spray that she sprays on the mole's head, and it just reminded me of the bit in Dumb and Dumber when Jim Carrey keeps missing his mouth. It was just like, that's really obvious. She's clearly not spraying perfume on herself.
Ching, ching.
But anyway, it works. It works in the film. So yeah, it's a great sequence. I mean, for me, I have a lot of love for this film. I was, I was around, I would have been 13 at the time it came out, and it was, being a film geek, it was one of the first CDs I bought. So I bought the soundtrack.
Oh, the soundtrack?
I bought the soundtrack on CD, and it was a mixture.
Do you still have that soundtrack, George?
A very tragic story. No, I left it in our old PC that was recycled. It was still in the disk drive.
Whoever got that PC, they got themselves a free album.
It's a great album. It's a great album. Not only have you got Danny Elfman's amazing score, orchestral score, it was one of those soundtrack albums that has songs that may have been inspired by the film,
but didn't necessarily appear.
That may have been written, performed, and recorded before the film.
That may have actually played at the credits or not at all.
Yeah, so it had some good bands on there. So there was Massive Attack, I think Jarvis Cocker or Pulp were on there, Cranberries. So yeah, I had some good pop hits, and obviously it had the remixed Mission Impossible theme by the guys from U2 that aren't Bono or The Edge. The Edge is fine.
But whoever bought that PC from our dad, you got a $9.99 soundtrack chucked in for free.
I think I even paid 15 quid for it in HMV on Northumberland Street. So
the mission is going fine.
The mission is going
until it's not.
I've put in my notes, how is it so easy to get the knock list in Prague, but then obviously it's part of a setup, so that's why it's so easy. But a few things. Why is the lift shaft got retractable spikes?
No, why has the lift shaft got impaling device?
Why did they kill off Emilio Estevez? I really liked him.
Look, Young Guns 2 wasn't received very well. So they were like, but that was the shock death.
Yeah, no, and that's it. You can obviously see that
anything's up for grabs.
You can see where that genesis came from, of that original idea to kill off the original cast and bring in a new team, is that shock of, hey, this is this big starring cast, or at least a few famous people, we're going to kill them off. And it was a real, in the age but before spoilers.
They kill everyone apart from Tom Cruise. And then obviously you find out a few people survived, whatever. But they do actually, it is like, what's he going to do? Ethan Hunt's going to die. Sorry, wrong Partridge impression.
But one thing I'm wondering, and I don't know if I'm overthinking it, but was it always part of Jim Phelps's plan to frame Ethan Hunt?
Yeah.
Or was it? Or did he genuinely think? Did he know it was a mole hunt?
But I think this goes back.
This is why it falls. Does it fall apart if I overthink about it? That. Well, did he always know it was a mole hunt? Did he know that he would need to get Ethan framed so Ethan would be dedicated enough to steal the knock list?
No, I think this goes back to that. Well, if you look at the comment he makes at the end, we'll get to that. But I think that the thing we talked about that was removed from the trailer, the fact that something's happened between Claire and Ethan.
It's revenge.
I think that's why he sets up Ethan.
Right.
Because one, it clears him.
Yeah.
And two, it's revenge. So I think if something has happened between Ethan and Claire, it happens before, in between the first scene that it opens on and this mission.
But
it's taken out.
Jim genuinely thinks he's got the knock list this time.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry about that.
It won't happen again.
I think obviously being a De Palma film, it's a really well shot film. I love the cinematography, the real moodiness, the cloudy streets, the misty sort of fogginess of Prague and stuff like that. It feels like
it made me want to go to Prague, and I have done since. At least I think I've been there twice. Yeah.
It feels proper sort of cloak and dagger. Then we're obviously introduced to Kittredge, who's the head of the IMF.
Great bad guy.
He's...
We've not seen him in many other... I think he's in Jack Ryan, but my theory is that he works for the CIA as a Hollywood actor.
He's very good in the bureaucratic type roles.
Yeah.
I think he's great. He's a great foil to Tom Cruise. He's got some very good dialogue in this that we're probably going to either chuck in or do impressions of later on.
Good morning, Mr. Phelps. This is your mission should you choose to accept it. Should you or any member of your IM force be caught or killed, the Secretary will disavow all knowledge of your actions. Good luck, Jim.
But you're saying it like the way it frames Prague, I really want to go back there. And it really does, like, it captures the city really well. It makes it look like it's a lovely place.
And then it all goes wrong, and you see a lot of things happen very quickly. The team will get picked off, and it's some very good action, and you're left wondering what's going on. Why is this? It unfolds very quickly.
Yeah, and I just love this. There's lots of little bits in this. Like I love the bit when he goes back to the safe house. And he does a thing where he breaks the light bulb in his jacket
and then shakes all the glass.
Yeah, to stop anyone, so you'll
hear somebody coming.
Yeah.
I do that whenever I stay in a hotel from now on. Nobody follows me, however, so perhaps it's just vandalism.
So Ethan's back at the place. He's trying to work out where it's all gone wrong, and we get our first audio flashback of
Drake Hotel, Chicago.
No. It said, was it a buyer called Max, job 314.
Yeah.
So Tom Cruise does some digging on the internet with a capital I.
Fires up AOL.
He goes into chat groups.
Goes into Alta Vista.
He starts searching. I was laughing at the simplicity of it. He just starts searching Max.com.
Yeah.
The Book of Job discussion group. Sounds pretty niche. But then we find out there's Book of Job discussion groups for every country.
Yeah, because obviously the internet isn't international yet.
No. The other thing I noticed in this scene, because you got Tom Cruise typing away and he's in this little wife beater, he's actually quite skinny in this film.
Yeah, he's not bulked up like he is in the others.
Emmanuel Bear, Jim's wife Claire, turns up back from the dead. I've made a note here, I think 80% of her acting is in her lips. But I really don't mind.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're not really sort of... I don't think the internet works that way, that he pretends to be Job and then he gets a message back for Job. I don't know how...
From Job.
Yeah, it's very weird. One thing I forgot about...
It takes the plot forward.
It does take the plot forward, so because he goes to meet Max, the arms dealer, but first he has to meet her henchman, who is
most amazing Vidal Sassoon. He looks like he's just stepped out of a salon.
The guy with the long hair.
Or in his case, he's just stepped out of Sirlon. Former...
Do you not recognise him?
Isn't he from Die Hard?
He is from Die Hard, but he's also from one of our other favourite films.
So he is
the stupid policeman from Die Hard.
Yeah.
But he is also...
He's not from the Money Pit. No, it's not.
Has exploding milk bottles.
It's the milkman from The Living Daylights.
It's Necros, the blonde assassin. In typical Bond tradition, yes, the blonde assassin from Living Daylights is the point man for Max the arms dealer. We get some more point of view of Ethan Hunt putting on his
boyish good looks, charming Max.
Yes, we get to see the amazing British actress Vanessa Redgrave, who is devouring the dialogue, my dear boy.
Oh, the things I could do to you, dear boy.
It's like a warm blanket of anonymity. No, she's great.
He's up for it, though.
Yeah,
he would do anything for the mission.
He knows what he's doing.
But he's still very much. This is something I felt when I watched this film. There's a big change in the second film. He's much more, which we'll get to. He's a different type of character. And this is still very much the Tom Cruise of Top Gun. It's the charmer, it's the grin.
Yeah.
That ridiculous grin.
Grinning like an idiot.
It's still very much, he's the playful, he's, as you're saying, boyish, young. Yeah. It's when he's going through this.
And he's a chancer in this, and I think he's less of a chancer in Mission 2.
Yeah.
But then we get they test the knock list, which is definitely bugged. The CIA, the men in white coats turn up. But I love this, that they're covering all the exits in this amazing apartment building. The guys already like guns on the door, but there's the little old lady still hoovering around them. That's a bit I've never noticed.
No, it's a great little touch.
You've got Kittredge turns up with Barnes, who
is also another typecast actor.
I think that guy is actually like ex-military. He was like a military advisor that's turned up in films now.
And I think that's why he's there. He's always a general.
We get to see, Tom Cruise gets away, slips through Kittredge's fingers, but Kittredge has a plan. You find a pressure point and you squeeze.
Yeah.
But Tom Cruise gets a team together. Luther, the amazing Marcellus Wallace from Pulp Fiction.
For the last time, I am not Mr. T.
Ving Rhames.
We love him.
Who was actually one of the few things that he's been in every one.
Yeah, he's consistent.
He's one of the few consistent things across the entire series. Known as the Net Ranger, apparently, is one of his nicknames.
Great names.
But he's a very tech person. I mean, it shows like how forward-thinking this film is, because Luther's really into he wants the latest tech. I'm talking about thinking machine laptops.
Yeah, I'm talking about
4-point access cabling.
He asks for
thinking machine laptops. I'm talking about the 686 prototypes with the artificial intelligence RISC chip.
Which is like less processing power than the first iPad. It was like
than my Casio watch.
Yeah.
But then we quickly jump into the impossible mission, the Langley job.
Yeah, which is a great mission, and they got that whole. This felt to me, this was the classic sort of Mission Impossible thing where everyone's doing something. They're drugging someone. There's a lot of tension because the guy's going in and out of the room. And when it's explained by Mr. T, Ving Rhames. When Ving Rhames presents the security system, it seems, could I say, impregnable? It does seem like there is no way to get in.
Well, that's again, it's another sort of stylistic trope of De Palma. We get to see Ethan talking about how impenetrable the system is, and we're physically seeing it
while they're breaking in.
Yeah, we're seeing the guy go in. We're seeing it's temperature sensitive, it's sound sensitive. It's one of the most highly guarded things. I still can't get my head around how they regulate temperature. He has a thing that has temperature on it, but it doesn't really explain how he's managed to keep the temperature the same.
Well, also, the guy who works in there, what happens if he gets a cold? Or he has a curry? Or he's wearing an extra jumper and he's sweating a bit. No, but the guy who's working there, his body temperature will be, okay, maybe it's only fluctuating a couple of degrees, but the limit that they put in this film is that if the temperature fluctuates, isn't it like half a degree
or something like
it's so ridiculous? And I think my temperature, it's like Emmanuel Bert walks in the room,
she's smoking hot.
I've got your reports, there'll be alarms going off. Getting a bit tight around the collar. No, but I mean, I think it's dramatic license. It works well. I especially like the lasers in the air vents.
Not enough lasers in air vents. That doesn't stop. It's still got rats in the air vent. But yeah, we've forgot to mention Jean Reno, brilliant actor, the guy from Léon. And many other films, but he's good at this, being very French.
Yeah, he's obviously been picked up. This is before Leon, after Leon.
I think Leon's 95.
Yeah, he gets notice. Oh, so it's before?
No, it's 96, so this after Leon.
All right, yeah, so I thought it was 95, yeah. So, but he's obviously an accomplished French actor before he got noticed by Hollywood. And, yeah, he does bring a certain gravitas.
Yeah, he's good in this. He's very grouchy and he's a bit menacing.
Shows a slightly different range to what you see in Leon.
Yeah. No, he's great in this. And yeah, this is a brilliant sequence. The tension in it, the fact it's basically soundless in terms of because they can't break the sound barrier.
Yeah.
It's a very
done in silence.
You know, as you said, De Palma's very good at how he uses sound and his soundtracks, and yeah, I've already declared my love for Danny Elfman's soundtrack. It's really sort of bombastic and 60s-esque, and yeah,
but the way they get in, the way they get out, the fact that they complete the mission,
but they almost don't complete mission with the knife falling and stuff.
No, but they get that's what I mean, they get caught, so they complete the mission, but they don't complete it anonymously.
Yeah.
And what does Kittredge say? Kittredge says
one of my favourite quotes of any film. When somebody screws up at work, I do sometimes say this, where he's like, I want him on a post in Siberia.
I want that guy manning an outpost in Alaska by the end of the day.
Mail him his clothes.
I'm going to say that to somebody, even if it's...
I do sometimes say that when somebody screws up at work. But they quickly, again, we're globe-trotting
without an Indiana...
I was going to say globe-hopping, but globe-trotting.
Globe-trotting, but without the careful visual aid of an Indiana Jones man.
So we're in London, because we know this because we see the tube.
And we also see...
The Gherkin hadn't been built yet, so...
We see the tube, and then he's in a pub where Alan Shearer scores for Blackburn.
Yeah. In the background, we get Alan Shearer's goal. I was like, okay, we're definitely in the 90s.
Haven't been sold to Newcastle yet.
There's a whole bit of... and apparently this was no trickery, but where... Tom Cruise is doing the sleight of hand with the disc, the floppy disk. Apparently that was all done for real, where he's like flipping it between hands and stuff like that. We get some more audio flashback of Drake Hotel in Chicago.
Ethan.
Where the penny drops. So Jim Phelps reappears, and then this really confused me the first time I watched it. And again, I think this is a
when he's trying to work out what's happened.
So yeah, you've got Ian Hunt, his lesser known brother. Oh, but speaking of which, when it talks about his family get arrested, his mother is Margaret Ethan Hunt.
Yeah.
Why is her middle name?
Just to reinforce the fact that it's his mother.
Oh, okay. No, when Ethan he's trying to work it out. He's saying one thing, but he's thinking another. So he's saying, "Oh yeah, it was Kittredge all along," but in his head, he knows. It was Jim.
No, but it's De Palma's way of like getting you inside his head, because it's
that perspective. It's that unreliable narrator.
It was you all along.
But then he's thinking,
maybe it was Claire. Oh no, maybe you could have done it.
It couldn't have been Claire because she's hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got the Jim's excuse. No more Cold War. You wake up and the President of the United States has run the country without your say so. But then there's the whole. Again, I think Jim's plan falls together. Why would Kittredge steal the knock list? It would surely be too easy for him to do.
Yeah, but I think he's disrespecting Ethan's ability to work out what's going on.
Okay.
He's trying to divert blame, and I think that's why it's very obvious to Ethan that it was Jim all along. So he hatches his own plan.
So Ethan goes back to the safe house. He sees smoking hot Emmanuel Bear.
Does something with her that we don't see.
She starts kissing his hand and then fade out. We don't need to worry about the rest.
Yeah, what's she doing? She's just kissing his hand. That's what colleagues do.
Yeah.
I remember times when I've had a hard time at work and I hold my hand out and a colleague takes it, strokes it and starts kissing it, and then we just go back to our normal day. You don't do that?
So, Charlie, the TGV, the Eurostar, you're familiar with it.
I am familiar with it. You're familiar with it. You travelled on it. We are recording from Eurostar.
From Gay Paris.
Yeah.
No, in true meta podcasting / reviewing, I watched this film on the Eurostar,
traveling towards
the channel.
Yeah, just like they
trying to
were.
upload the knock list. Actually, just trying to watch this film.
Trying to stream the film before you hit the tunnel.
While singing a Danny Elfman soundtrack to myself to the delight of all my other passengers.
It was all going well until you got out that pocket projector.
Yeah, like this is 96.
Seriously dates itself.
I noticed that the phone they were using was the Philips mobile phone that it was your first mobile phone that you handed down to me, which was my first phone. Do you remember that?
Was that the BT Internet one?
Yes, the BT Internet Philips phone that it didn't have Snake, but it had birthday predictor on it, which just gave you a bunch of emojis.
Yeah.
So they're using that as a signal blocker, but trying to download,
it's an Excel file, right?
Almost 25 years later, me trying to get decent Wi-Fi signal on the train is a near impossibility. I don't know how they were trying to upload this file on the TGV.
No, it was back then. This would have been.
Were they using WAP?
This is pre-WAP. This is 2G, but it was still. What he's actually doing is he's using the. Do you remember the phones that came with infrared on them?
Yes.
So he's actually he's sending an infrared
tethering.
Yeah, he's tethering. I think he's just interrupting their signal. But then
if you've just tuned in, you're down to the 1996 Mobile Chat podcast.
We're talking about modular cellular telecommunication devices.
Tethering on pre-WAP devices.
Yeah. So anyway, I won't bore you with the technology, but it was less shit than it is today, but not by a long shot. But the point I want to make about this knock list, what are we talking about? A bloody Excel file? Or are there photos?
I think there's
I guess that's why it's a large, and it's encrypted.
And they need to upload it before they enter the channel.
Okay, we can take our glasses off now. So anyway, there's a reason.
It's so Ethan is in true sort of misdirection. Claire thinks she's speaking to Jim, but it's not Jim. Where's the money? Where's the money, Jim? It's actually Ethan wearing a mask, but he doesn't have a voice chip. We haven't advanced that. We're not like the second one.
He's disguised as Jim. Is that how he got to Claire the first time round? He dressed up as Jim? Anyway.
Surprise! It's me, Ethan. Damn Gideons. Oh yeah, I've made the note of, he goes, having tasted the goods, Ethan, I knew I could count on something to do about
Thou shalt not covet another man's wife.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
But John, what's he called in this character? Jim. That scene's been cut from the film. Shut up. I like this dialogue. I'm leaving it in.
Yeah, it's very weird. He's using his wife.
It's like she only kissed my hand.
Yeah, and then it faded out. I've got it in my note. Why does he quickly kills Claire? Like when Ethan goes for the gun, but he shoots her first. So is it he's so pissed off that she's done the dirty with Ethan?
I think he said to her years ago, the one thing that you can never do is sleep with whoever you want, but if I see you kissing the hand of another colleague, I'm going to fucking kill you.
Even if he's dressed as me?
Yeah, I'm going to kill you.
I think it's still a good reveal where Cruise does the thing where he takes the glasses out and he slowly puts them on, and then it reveals that Kittredge is in on it. But
I like the timing, the fact that Kittredge is just tuning in as well.
He just knows to look. That's the right. You just imagine the whole just cuts back to Kittredge.
It's got nothing but white snow here.
Nothing.
Just get rid of it.
Why have I been given this watch? We then get into one of the key stunts. Other than the Langley breakout. So apparently for this train stunt, it was Tom Cruise always wanted to do this stunt. This was like before the script was written. This is like he had this idea that he wanted to do. So
I'm not insane.
Not insane.
I just want to blow up a helicopter and land on a train.
So the Cruiser, being the Cruiser, wanted it to look as real as possible. So they managed to source a skydiving simulator, so one of those giant fans,
one of the jets that keep you in the air.
Yeah, so it could produce winds of up to 140 miles an hour. And he managed. There was only one machine available in Europe, which they managed to source. So because he wanted the wind effects to be so powerful, you could see basically his distorting his face.
Yeah.
Obviously, they did that all like on a set, like with green screen. Our friends at the amazing guys at ILM and Industrial Light and Magic did the special effects in terms of the backdrop, but they actually did all the exterior shots for the train was on the Glasgow Southwestern line. Fact fans, train spotters. But yeah, I think it's a cracking action set piece, isn't it? Where you can see they're like being blown down the train. The fact that like they take that sense of realism in it.
Well, and yeah, I said they take it seriously. It's not like they're just climbing down a train, but they're saying the train's going so bloody fast. They're actually attached to the train. There's a plan. There's a pickup.
Yeah,
and he obviously gets in the way.
I'm pretty sure the channel, the channel wasn't finished when this film came out. It was still being built.
I think you're right.
Because you go into individual tunnels. There isn't a tunnel where you pass another train, is there? I'm pretty sure there's an in and an out.
It's dark. I can't tell.
So
I'm not normally driving.
No, that's true. Yeah, it's a great set piece. You've got the chopper explosion, which was spoiled in the trailer because it's the money shot, effectively.
Yeah. You didn't know this until you saw the film.
Yeah, but it's pretty much even down to the point where you're seeing the point of the blades is close to his neck.
Yeah, still a great scene.
But again, great scene. You've got the exploding chewing gum. You've got Danny Elfman's amazing score, and it's all right. He saved the day. So yeah, I think that's the whirlwind tour of MI1.
Great film. It has aged well. It's still a good spy flick.
It's a great romp. It's not
too much action.
I think some people said the plot's a little bit confusing, but I think once you've seen it a few times, it makes perfect sense.
It's not that confusing. I think it's a little bit.
There's a bit of misdirection, but I think that's obviously intended on De Palma's.
De Palma doesn't want it to be too easy. He wants you to think a little bit.
Shall we go into Coulda, Woulda, Shoulda?
Yeah, let's do it.
Your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could that they didn't stop to think if they should.
For this one, I haven't got anything, obviously, because Cruise was involved from the early on. He was obviously always going to be the point man. But Ethan Hunt is, as far as I know, he's invented for the film series. He wasn't in the original series. But apparently for Jim Phelps, once Peter Graves, you remember him?
Joey, did you ever hang around a gymnasium?
Once he didn't want to be part of it, they were considering Al Pacino. Oh, Ethan. Michael Douglas. Why does everyone want to sleep with my wife? And Robert Redford, which, interestingly, he kind of plays a similar role in Captain America Winter Soldier.
Yeah, Winter Soldier is very much the Jim Phelps sort of role.
So yeah, that could have been in all solid choices. I mean, part of me wants Pacino to be in that role just so he could shout at Tom Cruise.
Yeah, exactly. But you could see him in any of the Mission Impossibles. They've replaced that guy in each of the films, and each guy is very interesting. But yeah, any big actor.
So yeah, just in terms of, I don't know if it's worth mentioning, but this was the third biggest film of 1996. I say Independence Day was the biggest hit.
That was the July 4th release
of the year, followed by disaster CGI fest Twister. But what was in fourth place of 1996?
Surprise me.
Retro Ramble favourite, The Rock.
Oh, of course. What a film. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is Mission Impossible 1. We're just going to put in another cassette and listen to our next mission, and we're going to delve into Mission Impossible 2.
Well, Mr. Hunt, I don't quite know where to begin.
You know?
No. Should I?
She's got no training for this kind of thing.
But to go to bed with a man like him, she's a woman. She's got all the training she needs.
I don't think I can do it.
I mean, it'll be difficult.
Very.
Well, this is not mission difficult, Mr. Hunt. It's mission impossible. Difficult should be a walk in the park for you.
You gotta be kidding.
And so with that first mission out of the way, it's time to move on to Mission Impossible 2. I'm pretty sure this has always been marketed as MI2. Yeah, for expediency. Nobody has any time. It's the late 90s.
Strangely enough, I mean, this film is pretty much panned. It feels like you and I are
the only people who loved this film.
Yeah,
we saw it twice in its opening weekend.
Yeah, warts and all. I think we were obviously the target age, but we loved it. I mean, so much so. Yeah, we went and saw it a second time that weekend when we were drunk. But that's a different story altogether. But yeah, this was the highest grossing film of 2000.
Yeah, so for all the hate, it still performed very well.
Yeah.
And it made $500 million.
Yeah, $500 million.
Which back in 2000, 18 years ago, I guess you could argue that today that would be a $1 billion film.
Easily.
Yeah.
Whilst these films are... Well, up until Mission Impossible Fallout, they've always had a different director with each installment, and that's kind of been a stylistic choice of producer and star Tom Cruise, that he wanted each film to feel
refresh,
but to have its own style. But originally he offered it to Brian De Palma to return to do Mission Impossible 2, but he declined. And then Oliver Stone, who Cruise had worked with on Born on the 4th of July, was attached and apparently wrote a treatment, but then he backed out. Basically, it was scheduling conflicts. So Cruise is working on Eyes Wide Shut for Stanley Kubrick, and that overran. So Oliver Stone dropped out, and then they approached the so hot back then John Woo from we did one of our first podcasts on our favorite guilty pleasures, Face Off. So yeah,
if you haven't seen a John Woo film, it's those ones where the protagonist is normally jumping through the air sideways, firing off 2 revolvers at the same time
with a dove in the background.
Yeah, they're brilliant.
Yeah. So John Woo is a Hong Kong action director. He's done some great action films. He's very good at his, gun choreography. It's almost athletic in terms of it's very stylized, and I think it's quite clear that
it's very good at rivalries as well.
Yes,
like having a good, strong yin and a yang, and that's very much enforced in this film.
Yeah, and there's quite a lot of, you can see why Woo was attached to it in terms of the themes, the fact that, like Face Off, they are literally swapping faces in this a little bit too much in some aspects.
Yeah, because they swap faces at least twice, don't they?
At least.
With each other. Yeah,
so this was Woo's next theatrical release following Face Off, but between Face Off and this, he did a straight-to-TV action film with Dolph Lundgren known as Blackjack, which has the amazing concept of Dolph Lundgren being an assassin that has a phobia of the color white.
No, but he's impregnable to everything. He's really strong. He's an assassin. The only thing that he can be stopped by is that he has a phobia of white.
And we haven't seen all of that film, but I remember watching a scene. I'm pretty sure you were
We
with
watched
me.
it together, yeah.
And there, just out of pure coincidence, there happens to be a shootout in a milk factory.
It's the third act. It's like the showdown is in a milk factory.
And there's milk everywhere, and Dolph Lundgren just falls to his knees and just starts screaming. It's check it out, Blackjack.
Or don't. It's terrible.
Yeah. So I looked at the DVD of this, and it was obviously one of the first sort of DVDs to come out, because it was boasting the DVD was compatible with a PlayStation 2.
I remember this though. It was like this and X-Men are like my first DVDs I ever owned.
Oh yeah, and it had exhaustive special features. It has like a 13 minutes behind the scenes.
They had the comedy stuff from Ben Stiller.
Yeah, and at least one trailer and a music video.
Yeah.
So it was really, it was playing up to the DVD special features, but got some interesting insights from the behind the scenes doc. So in John Woo's words, he always wanted to make a romantic action adventure film.
Right. Okay.
Which this is.
Yeah, I'd say it's probably the thing why people level their sights to this film and say it isn't good is because there is some stylistic decisions made by John Woo. The love story is crucial to certain character arcs.
The plot's all over the place.
Yeah, it's hammy, but it's wonderfully hammy.
So yeah, like the first one, the Cruise and Woo had ideas of what action sequences they want to include. So Cruise want to include the rock climbing stunt at the start that has no semblance on the plot whatsoever.
That's very James Bond cold open.
Yeah, brilliant stunt. The fact that He was doing all the stunts himself.
He has buffed up since the last film.
He's definitely buffed up.
Been eating his crusts.
Yeah. But there was an original script written by Ronald D. Moore and Brannon Braga, and interestingly, I noticed, recognized Ronald D. Moore's name because he has gone on to, he wrote for Star Trek, and he basically wrote and produced the very successful redo of Battlestar Galactica.
That did very well.
And he has a series on Amazon at the moment called Outlander. So he's very successful in TV. So he did the original pass on it. And he gets story credit on this, but they brought back Robert Towne, who had done a lot of re-edits on the first Mission Impossible, to sort of spruce up the dialogue. And according to Cruise and the behind the scenes, the writing of this film, it's so good. So good.
I can just imagine him saying that. There are some good lines in this.
Yes, there are some very good one-liners, and most of them taken by the brilliant Sir Anthony Hopkins.
Watch out, I might just start shouting.
You're sorry, I'm sorry. Putting the sense.
Yeah.
There is some, whilst the plot is a bit over the place, there is some good dialogue in this film. In terms of casting, they were after, I think both Wu and Cruise were after an old-fashioned sort of approach, and they wanted, as I say, a romantic element, because the one that we've talked about in Mission Impossible 1, they cut out the whole romance subplot, but they wanted to bring the romance to the forefront in this one. So they wanted somebody with an Audrey Hepburn type quality, and it was actually Nicole Kidman, Tom Cruise's wife at the time, that suggested Thandie Newton, who is now
a big star.
Well, big star, and one of the best things in the Westworld series.
And she's in Han Solo briefly.
Yes, that is true. She's very briefly in Han Solo. So she was cast actually before work on the script began. So that was actually interesting to see that, they were desperate to get her.
But they were picking elements before finishing the script.
What could go wrong?
Yeah.
So apparently through my research, this is also a loose remake of Hitchcock's film from 1946 with Cary Grant called Notorious, which is about trying to sort of entrap a Nazi war criminal. So a woman is forced to sort of go back and spy on him. But bizarrely, something I hadn't really noticed before, that this film shares a lot of similarities with GoldenEye. So in terms of, you have the car chase around the mountains with the guy and the girl. You have a rogue agent against our hero that's holding a city ransom for profit.
Yeah, just for money.
Yeah. So in terms of behind the scenes, there was a little bit of drama in terms of that originally they had the DOP, the cinematographer, was Andrew Lesney, and he went on to be the cinematographer for all of Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings films. So he's a very acclaimed cinematographer, but he left after a month due to, I'm doing air quotes, stylistic differences with John Woo.
Well, he's been a bit of a dick.
Apparently so. And according to IMDb, apparently John Woo's original cut of the film was 3.5 hours long.
Yeah, if anybody has a copy of that original cut, George and I really need to see.
Yeah, because there's no deleted scenes on the DVD. But apparently the studio said the film had to be no more than 2 hours. So apparently that explains why there's so many plot holes and continuity errors.
They cut out a few things.
Being a John Woo film as well, apparently it was a lot more originally graphic, so they've cut down a lot of the action and the violence. And Stuart Baird did a lot of uncredited re-editing on this film to make it in sense. And we talked about Stuart Baird previously doing, again, uncredited re-editing on the messy shambles that seems to have a lot of love, Tango and Cash.
What a film.
What a film. So, shall we get into the main film?
Dum 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 dum.
Ding 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 ding.
Yeah, so we watched this on its opening weekend. We then went out on a big night out and ended up in the cinema again because our night was cut short. And we watched this, shall we say, when we were well oiled the second time.
Highly suggestible.
Yeah, and so I think that's probably why we have a lot of love for this film. But I love the opening. I love that. You wouldn't get away with that today. We talk about this. This is probably one of the last action films involving hijacking and terrorism before September 11th.
Yes.
So, I mean, you have this opening scene
and that missing Malaysian Airlines flight as well.
Yeah.
About, like something crashing in the mountains.
Yeah.
It's a little bit too close to the bone.
Yeah, you wouldn't get away with that today.
We have a running joke between Charlie and I as actors that play the same roles, the stereotypes as we call them, and this stars the guy, he's not called Dmitri, but he's the Russian scientist. He's in Snatch.
He even turns up in Downton Abbey as a Russian guy. Can you believe that? So the guy who keeps calling Tom Cruise Dmitri, the
man that creates the
Bellerophon,
Chimera and Bellerophon.
Yeah.
So yeah, he always plays.
He is Rent a Russian. But we love him. He's actually a very decent actor. He's got certain presence, and yeah, he's had a very good career since the 90s.
Yeah, he always crops up Batman Begins as well.
That's
a nice cut.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just a small role from there.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's great, and he's in this film quite a bit. Even though he's killed off in the first opening scene, he's on video.
Doesn't stop Tom Cruise wearing his face.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think this is sort of down to writing around action set pieces. It's a bit confusing because it's implied that him and Tom Cruise have
a history,
but he only knows Tom Cruise as Dmitri. And why has Tom Cruise been a friend of him for so long when he's like a biochemical scientist?
Maybe
because he was not on a mission.
But no, he was obviously running him. It was obviously connected to something else.
But it's never really explained. But
you are not Dmitri, and we get to see evil Tom Cruise. Because Tom is acting as like, Tom, we need you to look like a bad guy. And there's something about it's like...
And how do we know he's evil? Because we've got rock music. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, and also he's not doing nice things. He's hurting people.
He's hurting people. But would you know it, it's actually Dougray Scott in disguise. The first of many, many face swaps in this film.
Yeah, they go a bit nuts with face swapping in this film.
A little bit too carried away.
But it does look good. The CGI still holds up today.
And the thing I like about this, and I think they take this on for the other films, is the microchip voice adapter thing.
Across the larynx.
It's basically like a high-tech plaster.
Yeah.
Or Band-Aid.
Yeah, across the larynx.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
But yeah, they've obviously taken advantage of CGI. So instead of it looking like a rubber mask, like it used to in the original series and in Mission Impossible 1, they're just going for CGI face swapping. One of the other things I forget about...
Brutal opening.
It is a brutal opening, but you've got... it's a Hans Zimmer soundtrack. So Hans Zimmer is now one of the hardest working men in...
The soundtrack is great in this film.
Yeah.
I think that's part of why... it resonates with us is that we've got that music memory going on. It's like
True.
The whole way through this film, start to finish.
It's quite.
It's Hans Zimmer. It's fucking intense.
Yeah,
it's really, really intense, and then it slowly builds and builds and builds, and then it's intense again.
And there's lots of operatic singing.
Yeah,
it's a bit. It shares.
Gladiator.
Yeah, well, that's it. We joke about Alan Silvestri just doing the same thing over and over again, but Hans Zimmer is quite guilty that this soundtrack and Gladiator are quite similar.
Yeah,
in terms of the lovely lady singing nonsense.
And not very many years apart.
Same here.
Yeah, well, there you go. Send them the USB. Would it have been it would have been a CD-ROM back then.
An interactive CD-ROM.
It would have been a CDI.
Something that really dates this film, but also crops up in X-Men, which came out the same years. Oakleys were so hot then. So he gets his mission briefing via Oakleys.
Yeah.
Gets first year Tony Hopkins with his mission briefings. I do interrupt your vacation. And then we are quickly whisked away to España.
To beautiful, beautiful Spain with its beautiful rolling hills and I don't know who this guy is. Yeah, Seville. So we're introduced to the thief. We get to see Thandie Newton in action.
With her cracking rack.
Yeah, and she unfortunately is having to perform her tasks as a thief in very skimpy evening wear and has to straddle Ethan to complete the mission. But no, it's a good introduction. There's some good chemistry.
There's a little bit of good banter. There's a very cringeworthy part where their eyes meet across the flamenco dance floor.
What is that all about?
And it's really like bad CGI of like, it's very John Woo sort of type, it feels early 90s.
I can remember watching this with my wife and her just going, I'm not sure I can watch the rest of this film. And it was at that point in the first 5 minutes.
I'm amazed you got that far.
It was in that point she was just like, this looks silly.
There's so much slow-mo in this film.
I don't think there's enough.
I think if you cut out the slow-mo in this film,
it's about 20 minutes.
Yeah, if you run it at normal speed, it would be 20 minutes. And there's so much grinning from the cruiser. I mean, we talked about he's very charming in the first Mission Impossible.
But he's playful in the first one. In this one,
he's just
more suave.
Grinning like an idiot.
To quote the great Dougray Scott.
As we said, so we get to meet Tony Hopkins, gives him the briefing, and he's having a ball.
Yeah.
He's clearly on set for a day and having fun.
Phoned it in. Wouldn't be a vacation if you did.
I think it's this isn't Mission Difficult, Mr. Hunt, it's Mission Impossible. I think it's a shame he didn't appear in more episodes. I think, obviously we've talked about, it's a stylistic choice that they've gone for like a different mission director with each time until they've obviously
found Alec Bowen.
They've kept Alec Bowie. But the other thing I really like about this film, and it's a really random thing to like, but I think it's quite refreshing to see Sydney as a backdrop for an action film.
Yeah, name how many other big blockbuster films have been filmed.
I mean, it's it's one of the most iconic cities in the world, with the Opera House, the bridge, and as you say, you don't see it in many big films. So I think it's quite a cool backdrop to see that. At the same time, so you've got the mission happening in Sydney, but for some reason, Tom Cruise's mission base is in the outback, somewhere at a farm in the middle of nowhere.
Oh yeah, they're in the middle of nowhere, but that's, because I guess that's to raise the stakes when necessary in the plot.
Possibly. Do we now talk about Dougray Scott and he's so good, he's hammy, or he's so bad, he's good?
I don't know, but I mean,
I love him. I think he's got a brilliant voice, and bless him, he hasn't really had the career he should have done. He does like a lot of TV still, and he does a lot of voiceovers on adverts because he's got a great voice.
No, I think he's good. I think it's convincible action. I think he's believable that he's an agent who's gone rogue. I like the rivalry between him. I think he stands up well to Tom Cruise as a rival, much like in GoldenEye, Sean Bean and Bronholm.
True.
I think they obviously they said, would he go well up against each other?
And it is, again, I don't know if it probably is intentional, but there's a scene when they're at the races and he's got shades on, and he does actually, from a distance, he looks a bit like Tom Cruise.
Yeah, he can pull it off. Having to portray you.
Yeah, exactly. And you've also got another actor he's an Australian actor that's cropped up, usually playing the bad guy, who's the Safa, the South African guy. Sean. He's played by Richard Roxburgh. So he's an Aussie, but very hammy South African in this. Very, very loathable.
Yeah, but no, I like the team. I like the setup. I like the...
You've got Luther's back.
Yeah, Luther's back. I thought it was a sequel. So he's back. But I like the setup of this. I like the fact that the plot is developing and you're trying to work out what's going on. And then there's, as you say, they move on to the race course. And what is the most high-tech way that you can watch a video? Well, we can take a memory card out of a digital camera.
A massive memory card.
I mean, that's really funny. I mean, that is a portable video camera. It's the smallest video on offer. Whereas now, it'd be like, I need you to... Well, can we steal a link from somebody's phone? Like, if you think
download link.
Yeah, but I mean, Bond has struggled with this. Like, we saw it in Skyfall, where...
the stealing of the knock list.
No, but just the fact that we're all walking around with 64 gig computers in our pockets. So like having a box of tricks, the gadgets I don't know what they're going to do, in the future. Like gadgets have had to evolve, and this is funny looking back. It's like it's a memory card from I think it's a Canon, or it would be a Sony. We're not sure. It doesn't matter. That's not important right now. But no, I do like that scene, and we get to see Nia Nordhoff Hall in action as the pickpocket. She gets to show
Very good for something.
silky skills, dropping some good moves
Into my left jacket pocket.
And yeah, we get to see all of them. We see the whole team on both sides, and it's nice that these are like these sort of mini missions, that they're doing because there's a few, there's a few tasks.
Yeah, but the thing I think everyone can agree on that. I think the reason why this film sort of falls down and isn't very much regarded by fans of the series is that it's pretty much the Tom Cruise show. There isn't much of a team mission, which they definitely brought back in 3 onwards, is the team working together. Yes, Tom Cruise is the point man, is the hero, but everyone has a function, whereas this, it's a bit loose. You've got...
Who's the team in the third one, though?
You've got the Chinese girl, you've got Reese, the Irish guy, and you've got Simon Pegg.
Yeah.
Oh no, he's sort of more sort of comms, and you've got Luther. Luther's still in it.
Still back, yeah. Maybe he takes a break. No, I just get the feeling that the team thing is something that was brought in for Ghost Protocol.
It's definitely used to its probably the best is in Ghost Protocol. But yeah,
this is still very much his film. It's his production, and
it is pretty much.
And the film has to have a star.
Love it or hate this film, it has, I think it's Heart of Night. It's got some great action sequences,
some of the best. I mean,
that's what Wu's strength is. He is a great action director.
Yeah, because we go from the race course
to the aerobatic insanity.
Yeah, hunt. Well, sorry, all we're doing is quoting Dougray Scott, but the atrium jump, which is a brilliant bit of camera work. The fact that he's got to get through the closing vents, he's got to jump, he's got to get in there, and he's got to do it quietly.
Then there's the generator goes off, so they've lost comms, and there's some great sort of tension before Cruise is jumping around, gun in each hand.
Yeah, spinning around. And it's
shooting endless hired goons.
Yeah, and it is very much John Woo doing that. But then he does this brilliant, when he has to escape, it's just a great set piece. And he does the base jump, blows up the wall, does the base jump. There's a lot to like.
The Hans Zimmer music, you know, that woman's warbling away. You know, it's all very slickly done.
And it's all built up to, we find out what the whole plot is. We actually know what we've got. We've got a virus. We've got an antidote.
Though I remember at the time watching it, one of my friends saying they were a bit disappointed that the Chimera virus didn't turn people into half lion, half serpent monsters,
as is clearly indicated in the opening credits.
Exactly, you know.
And who's the what's Gleason?
Brendan Gleeson.
Gleeson
as evil CEO.
John C. McCloy.
Yes, who in some very on the nose dialogue goes, and there it is. I confess.
Yeah, it is very on the nose.
So yeah, more face swapping. So Ethan Hunt's pretending to be Dr. Rusky, and at the exact same time, Dougray Scott is pretending to be Ethan Hunt to find out information from Nia. And there's still more face swapping to come. So yeah, we've done the skyscraper mission.
Setting it up for the third act.
Yes, so we get to, when the third act kicks in, it's pretty much non-stop action, isn't it?
Oh yeah, no, it's brilliant. I mean, it's basically, because there's a great bit in the film when they're looking for biosite, and they say, oh yeah, show me the biosite blueprints. And so he pulls up this island. He says, oh no, that's another biosite facility, which will actually come into play. Foreshadowing. So yeah, the third act is at this island facility, but we see I think it's just a great sort of James Bond-esque. You see him approach the island, taking out the guards,
people one by one,
with these amazing stunts, these like Liu Kang Tekken type kicks,
overhead kicks,
bicycle kicks, and all done absolute silence, but
with doves and pigeons.
Lots of slow-mo, lots of doves, and another quick face swap. But
on that point, how many faces does he have in that bag? Because what are the odds that he manages to knock out Stamp, the guy, the South African guy? He's just like, okay.
I reckon he goes in with 3 faces.
Everywhere he goes, he's always got, because that, again, that's something that the third one does very well when they're doing the whole mission where
They've got to make it.
They've got to make Philip Seymour Hoffman's face, and they're carving it, and then the machine breaks. Or was that another
That's
one?
the fourth one.
But they actually go into the detail of how they make the face, whereas this one is just like, yay, Tom Cruise has got a few faces in his bag.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that.
It was his plan all along.
But it's because he's obviously got a face for Stamp, but he's also got his own face to put on Stamp.
That's weird. I've never thought about that.
Just in case.
I never thought about that. It's like, I've got a face of myself.
Just in case.
Who do you think? Maybe it's a sex toy. It gives it. Would you mind putting this on while we do it so I can look at myself?
Andy, just put this on.
Just put it on. Don't make it weird. Just put on this voice plaster.
So that's something I worked out.
I never worked out that Ethan Hunt carries around faces of his worst enemies for the mission
and himself.
But it's a good ploy.
I mean, and it's a good bit of misdirection. But yeah, when you sort of think about it, it's completely ridiculous.
It's bobbins.
Now, this is what's known as getting your gun off.
More hammy acting from our man Dougray Scott, getting his gun off.
Stock options, to be exact.
And then we launch into the longest chase / action scene / fight.
One of the best motorbike chases.
I mean, you've got motorbikes. There's some insane stunts in this. There's some great editing and choreography from Woo. There's a bit where he sort of does a front wheelie, spins the bike round, shoots
the front tire of the car, so the car flips.
No, but he shoots the gunman first, then he shoots the car, so it flips, and then he shoots the petrol tank.
So it explodes.
Obviously with incendiary rounds, otherwise how would he ignite the petrol?
It does remind me of The Matrix, like when Morpheus shoots the car and then samurai swords the wheels, and then as the car turns over, shoots the petrol gauge as well.
Yeah, it's brilliant gunishment.
Considering all he needs to do is really get the antidote to Naya, there's a lot of gunishment, explosions, and car chases.
There's the brilliant bit where they're chasing each other and Cruise is firing behind him but using the mirrors to guide.
That's silly. Very silly.
Very silly.
But brilliantly silly.
There's some great ridiculous stunts. All of a sudden the bike tires change from slick tires to off-road. And then
we go hand to hand. Hand to hand.
Hand to hand. And there's some very cool fighting in this. And
he does cleanly kick him in the face.
Yes, you see there's a bit where he does the
roundhouse.
Sort of cartwheel roundhouse, kicks Dougray Scott in the face because you see sand come off Dougray Scott's face.
Yeah.
But there's also, the other thing I forgot about is the knife and the eye stunt.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Which was actually, they had... So how they did that, because again, Cruise wanted to be as real as possible. They had the knife was attached to a cable, so it could only go a certain length. But you can actually see the knife is basically brushing against his eyelashes.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's nuts. And then again, in true sort of Woo fashion, the bit where he kicks the gun out of the sand,
jumps on the side
in slow-mo. I'm sure Dougray Scott could have shot him about 10 times in that whole sort of, he's spinning round.
Yeah.
Because he throws the antidote, kicks the gun, spins around.
Yeah. Shoot him, you fool!
shoot him! So yeah, that was the pretty much the whirlwind review for MI2.
In terms of coulda, woulda, shoulda, we've got a bit of a change because there weren't that many. This was a sequel. It was pretty much done and dusted who was going to be in it. But there is an interesting how things developed because this film overran and it affected somebody's career.
Yeah, affected. Well, we've talked about, it's a shame that Dougray Scott hasn't gone on to do great things, but that wasn't the original plan. So, yeah, this film was victim of, reshoots, overshoots, and obviously to try and make some semblance of the plot. But Dougray Scott was originally cast as Wolverine in the first X-Men film, but because Mission Impossible 2 overran, he had to drop out, so they had to go back to the drawing board and cast one of their third or fourth choices, which was some guy called Hugh Jackman.
I thought it was Huge Action.
Huge Action. So, yeah, I think that's probably one of the biggest coulda, woulda, shouldas, ever, that the X-Men universe, the franchise, could have been a very, very different film with, I mean, it's hard to imagine Dougray Scott in that role.
Or in The Prestige, or in The Greatest Showman.
Exactly. I mean, and I think Hugh Jackman's even come out and said, you know, you feel sorry for the bloke because I have said thank you to him.
Yeah. But also it gave us Hugh Jackman, who is one of the nicest guys in the world.
So yeah, basically Mission Impossible 2 is responsible for
more interestingly enough.
Yeah.
Would this film have done better had Hugh Jackman been playing Dougray Scott's role?
Hey, that could have been fun. I think that's something. Has Hugh Jackman ever played a villain?
You could argue in The Prestige, he's quite the
I think
antagonist.
Should something do a bit more of. I suppose.
Okay, I'll go on the phone. I'll let him know.
Yeah, but also interestingly, of the Mission Impossible franchise, this is the only Mission Impossible film where he actually goes on a mission and doesn't go rogue.
He actually does what he's told. He actually completes mission accomplished.
Yeah.
In all the other films, he's disavowed.
Yeah, going rogue or assumed to be an enemy. So, as we've talked about, this film means a lot to us because it reminds us of a certain time, and we had a lot of fun watching it when we were younger.
It's super silly.
We know it's not perfect, but
it's a very silly. I mean,
it's definitely a guilty pleasure for us.
It's not. I mean, it is nonsense. It's silly. You wouldn't. But it is really sit back, unplug, and enjoy. Whereas the first one is an enjoyable romp of a spy film. This, I mean, I think it's the highest grossing film because people went and saw it and they came out of it, mostly guys, by the time it's like, dude, you have to go and see this film. The stunts are insane. And that's what it was about. And to be fair, it's still a lot about what Mission Impossible is about today. It's all about what batshit crazy stunt is Tom Cruise going to do next? And he's becoming Jackie Chan. He's broken his leg in this last film. I've got it on high authority, and as you've probably heard, the scene where he makes the jump and breaks his leg is the scene they're keeping in the film. Yeah. So when you watch Fallout and you see him do this building jump and you see him land awkwardly, you got to know that he actually broke his ankle.
Yes, he shattered his ankle,
and then just carried on going.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is if you're going to go and see these films for no other reason, is let's see stunts taken to a new level.
Well, yeah, I mean that's it. We've talked about, like, we're both really excited for Fallout. I mean, it
looks like it's going to deliver. It's got a great cast.
I mean,
it's got a good directorial team with McHugh and Cruise, who've worked together on Edge of Tomorrow. They worked together on Rogue Nation, and they're showing the
Jack Reacher.
Yeah, Jack Reacher together. You've got Henry Cavill.
So it's I think
obviously Simon Pegg for comic relief.
Obviously, this is the first time that a director has returned for a Mission Impossible. So whilst I quite like them all having an individual feel, I think, out of all the directors, it's great to have Macquarie back because people say these films generally just keep getting better and better.
I think the other thing you have to take into account is that if you line up the films that have come, the last 3 Mission Impossible films against the last Bond films that have come out in the same time, these films are better spy films.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
They deliver more of what Bond used to deliver than the current Bond films are. Bond is trying to re-establish itself. They're trying to make it work with Daniel Craig. But no, I mean, I'm more looking forward to watching Mission Impossible Fallout than I was for the last Bond film.
Well, I think the thing that the later Mission Impossible films have captured that Bond is kind of lost in the past few films is the sense of fun. Yeah. These films are
silly stunts.
Yeah, they know it's
hammy bad guys.
It's entertainment, but they're not trying to be anything else than that. Fingers crossed, Fallout delivers.
I know. I think from close sources in Paramount, I think we can say that all of the footage, everything's looking good. It'll depend on its opening weekend, but they've had this date booked in for a while. There's nothing else coming out that's going to steal its thunder. So no, I'd be very surprised if this film doesn't perform and do lots of money. So that was a bit of a marathon episode. We've squeezed Mission Impossible 1 and Mission Impossible 2. If you've
I think we've been fairly fair on MI2. We've talked about what we love about it.
We like it, but we realise it's very silly. It's very hammy, very cheesy. Yeah. Highest grossing film of 2000. So put that in your pipe and smoke it.
So in terms of next time,
Retro Ramble will return. Are we going De Palma to De Palma?
I think we are revisiting De Palma. So we are we're getting off the topical track, and we're just picking a film that we love, and we're going to go and do Brian De Palma's Untouchables.
And we will have a guest on the show.
Yes, for the first time, we will have a special appearance by
somebody who works in TV and news and video production, but it's somebody for whom both Sean Connery and The Untouchables is very close to his heart, and a very close friend of ours. So
it's practically extended family. So
almost family.
You've got that to look forward to in next month's episode.
Yeah. So thank you for listening. We're on all of the social medias. Just search for us under Retro Ramble. You find us on our blog, which we try to update as often as possible. That's retroramble.blog. And you can get us on, all the podcasting channels, Stitcher, on Libsyn, on iTunes, on Spotify,
Acast.
And as I say, we are right here, right now. We're in Paris right now. So if you're in the area, give us a shout, pop on by.
Or the phone's there, so call in.
Yeah, send us a voice memo. Just send us some messages. But no, thank you for listening. A longer than normal episode. We hope you've enjoyed it.
Thank you for your patience.
Yeah, we suggest you go back and watch one of them, depending on what type of film you want. But if you like these sort of films, we hope you've enjoyed this podcast. I've been Charlie McGee.
I've been George McGee.
And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
John, I'm sorry. This is a crazy thought. I just got this idea, but what if when Tom jumps off of the bike and when they're both coming at each other, if right before, and this is just something just flew in my head here, if he turns to camera and goes, "This mission, it just got a hell of a lot more impossibler." Boom! Then you do the hit. What do you think?
We'll think about it.
Go away.
You gotta be kidding.